For the last 100 years, Western scientists told us there was no God. They told us that they knew the secrets of reality, the mathematics to the dimensions to our universe. But in the last 20 years, scientists have come out, top scientists, top CEOs of companies, and said, we've studied reality, and there is an outside dimension at least 5 times stronger than our dimension holding things in place. Some equations and some of the different devices they have, spectrometers, radio telescopes, other systems, have registered that up to 90% of the universe is dark matter and 5% is classical matter, the elements that we know about on the periodic table. And another 5% is radiation, energy, fluxing between the two. So you could call spiritualism or religion or whatever you want to call it, the search of primitive humans trying to understand the larger universe. And with that early, I don't want to say discovery, but harnessing of a technology humans saw, fire. Lightning would strike the grasslands, make a fire. Lightning would strike a tree, blow it up, but they could harness that fire and cook meat with it. And if they had a hearth going, a fire going, a campfire, it would keep the wolves away, the hyenas away, the tigers, the bears, the saber-toothed cats. And so this really is the Promethean fire from Greek lore. And the scientific dictatorship is on record saying, we don't want humans having Promethean fire. We don't want to educate the general public. We don't want people having the magic of discovery. We want to control that Promethean fire and misdirect it because we want to be God. But a real God would actually give people fire. Wouldn't say, I want to be God, I want to take fire away from them. And that's really what the Satanists are. They claim they're going to have hot cheerleaders and parties and power and cars and money. But really they want your will, they want your soul. And so here in early September of 2020, you see the entire corrupt power structure, soulless and empty, trying to get control of the human will, trying to get control of the human culture, trying to get control of the human genetics, and trying to play us all off against each other off of what color we are. But really their whole system is post-human. They write articles in the New York Times and the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal and everywhere about dreaming of the post-human era and the cyborgs taking over and humans are weak and bad. Are aliens controlling them? Have they been consorting with off-world powers to sell out their own species? Are they the ultimate traitors? Or are they just delusional, schizophrenic crazies that hate themselves so much they're projecting that they're building this post-human world because they want to kill themselves and us with them? Whether it's aliens doing it, whether it's demons, whether it's the devil, whether it's imagined and some delusion in their mind, that doesn't really matter. What matters is we have the power to manifest things as humans, and these individuals are manifesting this. And they claim they're here to enlighten us and empower us and give us freedom, but everything they do goes against the basic genetic code of our species. They wish to extinguish the light of humanity. And how much more precious does light come as it becomes more and more scarce? 90% of the universe is invisible to all our science, but we now know it's there. Our computers have measured it. Who are the people seeking to keep us from these secrets? Who are the individuals trying to get us to kill each other over what color our skin is when all our blood is red? InfoWars, in my 26 years on air, has been a guiding light in the fight against tyranny. And so many other lights have been extinguished, they've been censored, they've been shut down. Hundreds of millions of people know. The president is censored. Facebook won't let lawyers for people that have been involved in these riots even have a voice. And every day it becomes more intense. Every day the clampdown becomes more oppressive. It's in the news that Ohio is setting up FEMA camps for citizens who have coughs and haven't even tested positive. It comes out that 90% of COVID-19 tests are false positive, and then only 9,000 died versus 180,000. But Facebook and YouTube and all of them censor it because they can't stand against the light of truth. They want to operate in the dark where you're blind, where you can see absolutely nothing. Everything they're doing is about extinguishing that light. But it's the light that built the planet. It's the light that built them and their parents. It's the light that made them who they were. But they're in love with the darkness. And they believe if they can just extinguish that light, that they'll be the gods of darkness. All of us are blind, and they can just feed upon us. But really what they'll find is, in Dante's Ninth Circles of Hell, that is a good human psychic projection of what's really happening, the center of hell is pure darkness and no warmth and is freezing. It is the opposite of consciousness. It is spiritual death. Don't be part of this spiritual death. Rise up against the tyranny. Rise up against the enslavers and realize that it's that animating contest of resistance that builds your psychic and spiritual muscles to defeat this system. It's not work to oppose the censors. It's God's work. And remember, the only way we stay on air is because of you. InfoWars has changed the world thanks to you. The world's a different place for the better. Globalism is in trouble because you took action and because you spoke out and because you supported operations like InfoWars. There's other great groups, but we're the tip of the spear. So I ask you now to remember what your word of mouth does, what your psychic prayer does, and what your financial support does. Because without you, the enemy will win. And they believe taking down InfoWars is a capturing the flag, capturing the standard. They believe it's a psychic victory because it is. Because InfoWars is pure. I'm not a perfect person, but I believe what I'm saying, and I've done deep research, and I'm committed to God and justice. I have courage. I don't have fear of the enemy. I have fear of failure and what they're going to do to you. I am far beyond the reaches of the enemy now. It is those of you that are just now waking up that are with the enemy's grasp. And I pray you get close to God quickly, because that's the only protection. Our longtime listeners and supporters that were already awake before I was even born, and those that have woken up since then, we're on the same plane together. And I ask them to be leaders and not just count on myself and others to lead the fight. You must lead the fight. We're going to win, but it's going to be hard. The time to denial is over. Because if you don't stand up and speak out, the universe is a very dark, cold place. Light is rare, and light shines as stars in the night. Lucifer seeks to extinguish your light because he wants to be the only light bearer, like Maz the Flame. We have to ignite ourselves in God's glow, to glow much brighter and stronger so others do not follow Satan, known as Lucifer, and come to the real light. But to do that, you must take action. You must decide that you have a will and a soul of your own, and that you choose God. And only then will Lucifer be extinguished.
And we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
That was 2 years ago that AOC and Beto O'Rourke told you that the world was ending in 12 years because of climate change. Well, what is climate change? It's the cover for them to carry out the shutdown of the world economy and a vertical integration, as they call it, a consolidation of all the money and the power and the resources so they can control the planet to protect it from the overpopulation and then cause mass starvation. And so when she's saying, hey, the world won't be here, humans won't be here in 12 years, she's being told that by higher ups She's believing them because they're going to institute global bioweapon releases and economic collapses and famines that will cause the depopulation that the UN and the Club of Rome and the United Nations have been calling for. That's why they're now bragging that COVID-19 is going to save the earth, it's going to depopulate things, it's going to lower the carbon footprint. So the so-called guardians of the earth are the ones with the genetic engineering. They're the ones creating the cross-species chimera, animals and plants and insects and bacteria and viruses. They're the ones that say they're building a post-human world and a post-carbon world. So let's look at some of these headlines. Buy lots of food and store it in safe places because very difficult times are approaching. And I've got the mass exodus out of blue cities and blue states and leftist areas around the world, and COVID-19 causing food shortages and massive food cost spikes. Why is all this happening? The headlines are all the same. How COVID is affecting U.S. food supply. No, the lockdown, the hysteria is causing the lack of food. It's causing the breakdown in civilization. It's called the Great Reset by the Davos Group last year and this year, saying they would use a virus to cause an economic collapse. And they didn't think of this. The Rockefeller Foundation 10 years ago in lockstep came out and said it, and Bill Gates last year in Event 201. So I'm here to tell you, they're the ones causing the end of civilization for the general public. They're the ones causing the collapse. This is 21st century warfare. Now, I'm going to tell you again, you need to warn everybody you know about who's behind this. You need to share these articles and videos and do your own research. And you need to personally get prepared. Once the food chain, the supply chain really breaks down, which has already happened in the third world, the UN admits millions are starving to death a month, hundreds of millions are in danger. Once it breaks down the third world and that food chain collapses, that supply chain, it will cause devastation and starvation here. And separately, I would tell you, get prepared, get high quality storable food, get water filtration, and we have those areas covered with the highest quality water filtration, highest rated at very affordable low prices with gravity fed portable filters, great for your house, RV, home, campsite with the Alexa Pure and of course the Pro Pure systems that are both comparable, made by other manufacturers that are excellent here in the United States. And then, of course, we've got My Patriot Supply that supplies us 1 to 2 week delivery of high-quality storable food. Special meals are available. But back when the COVID hysteria was going, we said, don't get the food for COVID, get it for the supply chain breakdown and what's coming. So whether Trump wins or whether Trump loses, the globalists have said they're going ahead with the collapse of civilization worldwide and the collapse of the third world and the replacement migration after they've dominated and exploited the third world against the first world. This is sophisticated, it's evil, it's ruthless, but if we face the facts and if we become prepared and self-sufficient, we can weather the storm and be leaders into the future to say no to this system.